Welcome to Redvee TV's Instant Reaction, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2024 season, as we reflect on St Helens' 28-18 defeat here at the Totally Wicked Stadium this afternoon to our dual reg partners, the Swinton Lions, who, to be fair, Kevin, have given us a really good game.
Yeah, and deserved the win, I think. I think they just did probably the little things better than us, a little bit more organised, especially in that first half. And you know what? They look a good team for us to be duelling up with.
Yeah. So obviously we've got the dual reg with them. Which of their players are going to get into our first team? Because the score probably doesn't quite reflect the game. I think it was 6 tries to 3 in the end. We've converted our 3 and they've missed a couple of kicks. It could have been slightly wider in the end. I think the first 20 minutes the game had gone away from us at that point. They started a lot brighter. We gave away a couple of silly penalties, a couple of errors, and they capitalised upon that. And it was a heavy slog coming back into the game. But the young guns, they stood up well in the end, and they brought themselves back into it and didn't allow the game quite to get away from them.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was a bit of an inauspicious start, but then we grew into it, and you've got to expect that from the lack of experience that team had. Yeah, we had Sam Royal out there, who I think did really well today. We had Corrie, we had John Bennison, we had a couple of lads who've made first team appearances, Ben Davis as well out there. But you might have 4 who are, you call first teamers, proper first teamers, when the other 9 aren't, and they're finding their way into it against a group of players who are out there trying to show why our players shouldn't be in the Swinton team.
There's a lot more incentive there.
There is a lot more incentive there, and we had to start probably better to get that foothold and try and go on and win the game. Result doesn't really matter in that. It's all about performance and lads getting fitness in the legs, into the lungs, and just showing Paul Wellings, listen, there's a little bit for you to work with here.
Yeah, and it does show the difference between academy level, reserve level, and lads who are playing week in, week out, semi-professionally, professionally, as men. At times it is men against boys, and you only learn by playing at that level, and that's why dual reg is so good.
Yeah, it is, and I think it'll be vital for us. We've been chatting about who we think could go over there and get some games over there. Swinton obviously gave debuts to George Delaney last year. Harry Roberts?
Will Roberts.
Will Roberts. Sorry, yeah.
George Delaney is a cracking example, isn't he? George Delaney started the year getting man of the match awards at Swinton. Yeah. Finishes the year in our first team and is at the point where you wouldn't even consider him playing him in essentially like what is a reserve game. Yeah. That should be the incentive for some of our young lads this year. If they do go out on dual reg to Swinton, you're going out on dual reg because at the end of the year, if you go well, you could end up first team.
And it'll toughen them up, won't it? It will toughen them up. So you're dead right there. That is the incentive for them, is to go and play some proper rugby, which they're going to get roughed up, they're going to get toughened up, and then it becomes not sink or swim, but it shows you who's going to rise probably to the top a little bit more.
Of the young lads who played today, Noah Stevens went well. We've had a few people come up to us and said he looked useful. I think just by the size of the man, he's going to cause some problems when he finds his feet at this level. I thought Johnny Vaughan went really well. He's definitely one that's going to stand out for the future. We've got some young talent coming through, and I know there's lads playing there today who are going to have another year at reserve level, and they'll be knocking on the door for a squad number next year. The future does look bright at this club.
It does. I'll mention young Whitby, the halfback, as well. It looked like Ben Davis could do the organising and allow him to be a bit more of a spark. The one thing I'd say is don't put too much pressure on him. That's what we tend to do with young halfbacks coming through the club. Don't put too much pressure on. Against Swinton, he looked bright. They might be, if they get a little bit of shortage in the halves, possibly somebody that they could go for as well there. And as I said before, Sam Royals stood up well. He looks like he's put a little bit of size on as well, which is good for him. A little bit of muscle rather than weight. Ben Davis did a decent enough job. I don't think he's a 6, but today he's in there probably for a bit more experience.
It's the organisation.
It is the organisation. So, yeah, it's all in all, I think it's a good exercise that. And it, as I say, it gets yards in the legs for the lads.
We'll obviously talk about Sam Royal a bit more on his player preview in a few weeks, but he definitely looked like he'd added some size, which might tell you a little bit more about how we're going to try and use him this year. It's a big year for him. If he ends up playing in second row, loose forward, he's filled out.
Yes.
Filled out well.
Yeah, and listen, that's what he needed to do. Because sometimes maybe he looked a little bit too slim.
But it's hard to do that in season, isn't it?
People grow at different rates, don't they?
It's your off season where you can put that size on.
Where you can bulk up. Yeah, of course.
All in all, a cold afternoon. Good to see a decent sized crowd. I think it looked about 4,000 on today. Good to get back to rugby league. We've got another game coming up in a couple of weeks. You may see one or two of those young lads in amongst the sprinkling of the first team.
Yeah, possibly so. Especially, it looked like Connie went off with a limp and was replaced by Jake Davis. So whether he'll be all right in 2 weeks, hopefully so, because I think, as we've said, he gets his fitness from playing games. And we'll probably see not only the young lads, but those of you who weren't here today, you will see quite a lot of penalties for not playing the ball properly or not making an attempt to, not standing square, because that's what we've had today. Little bit stop-starts. I think there's over 20 penalties in the game today. First it's out, so you would expect a bit of rustiness, but by week 4 it'll all be washed away and nobody will care about it, won't it?
Yeah, it's almost like every single year they roll out the clamp down on the play the ball until they realise that nobody can actually be bothered. All in all, decent afternoon. Just to clear away the cobwebs, learn what year it is when we're introducing the show. Take 4.
And remember to put 2 pairs of socks on because my feet are like blocks of ice.
Well, I did offer to warm them up for you during that second half.
Don't.
That's a good place to end. Right, we will catch you as we carry on our player previews over the next week, and we'll obviously have another Redvee TV show coming up Wednesday time. If there's anything you want us to discuss, get in touch and we'll try and add it to the agenda. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we'll catch you very soon for another episode of Redvee TV.